Welcome to this week's Dream Car judging video here at BOTB. We'd now like to hand over to today's lawyer from Onside Law who'll oversee the proceedings.
Hi, my name is Paul Musa from Onside Law, and I'll be overseeing the judging process this morning. Firstly, I can confirm that the competition data has already been sent to the auditing company Assets. I would now like today's judges to introduce themselves, and using the secure link provided, mark on the screen where they think the centre of the ball should be. The group will then come to a final panel decision.
Good morning, my name is Matt Cannon. I'm a senior county referee and footballer.
Hi, I'm Jenna Scalacci, retired professional footballer, now operations manager at Tottenham Hotspur Academy.
Good morning, my name's Andy Braithwaite and I'm a football referee, mentor and licensed observer.
Hi, my name's Renee Hector and I'm a coach for Watford FC Women's Development and I coach for Tottenham Hotspur Foundation.
Good morning, my name is Alain Goma. I'm an ex-professional football player, having played for Paris Saint-Germain, Newcastle and Fulham.
Good morning, my name's Peter Giorgio. I'm a football and futsal referee.
Good morning, my name's Hugh Gilroy. I'm a referee, mentor, tutor and observer.
Hi, my name is Jeremy Donka. I've been involved in football for over 30 years, firstly as a player and then as a referee.
Judges, please now come to a final panel decision. For your reference, the larger white cross is the calculated average of the 8 individual sections.
Thank you very much, Paul. Good morning, everybody. Before I draw some lines in, I'm going to come to you, Jenna. Yours is the green cross there, just to the right of this calculated average is shown here. If you could explain what you're seeing in the photograph, where you think the ball is coming in from, and then how you reached your decision, please. And then, as I said, I'll draw some lines in.
Yeah, sure. So 2 players in shot. We've got 4 clear eyes to work from. For me, I feel like it might be a bouncing ball coming into the players. For me, I feel like the player in red is the favourite. He looks like he's slightly in front. The player in white with the blue on his shirt looks like he's in the background. I feel like the ball's quite close to the players, just looking at their facial expressions. For me, I felt the player in red was the favourite, just looking at his body position, his arms up, trying to protect the ball. And both players' faces look like they maybe feel that the ball was closer to them. With the eyes, I took a lot from the player in red. For me, I didn't feel like he was looking down or up. I felt he was looking just straight out in front of him. As with the player in white, both really good sets of eyes. I felt the player in white, his body was angled slightly, and I felt he was looking down. And I put my cross closer to the red, just given on his body position and the way his face was. I thought the ball was coming into him. Wasn't sure whether he was going to bring it down or maybe just chest and run onto it and continue running forward. But I felt the ball was in front of both players.
Thanks very much, Jenna. And as I said, I'll draw some lines in now. First from the player in white. As Jenna, you said, there's 2 good eyes here. And we've got quite a large spread from those eyes. And again, from the player in red, we have him looking up and we have him looking way down as well. So, Alain, I'll come to you next. Yours is the orange cross. You're ever so slightly higher than the rest. How did you reach your decision?
Yeah, thank you, Matt. As Jenna mentioned, I think it's a bouncing ball. So the ball is in the foreground. I think the player in red is the favourite to reach the ball first. I don't think he's going to head the ball. I think he's going to take it and bring it down. I thought the red player was looking, slightly up, and the cross on his right. Whilst the player in white was looking more at eye level. And I think on the picture, I think the ball is more. I thought the ball was slightly more towards the player in white, because when you look at both heads, the player in red is looking further across. So I don't know if it makes sense, but I thought the play was a bit closer on the picture. In reality, I think the player in red is closer to the ball, but it was further to the left, I would say.
Okay.
Yeah.
And just to the right of yours, Anna, is the pink cross, the dark pink cross, which is yours, Ari. Did you agree with that?
Thanks, Matt. Yes, I do agree. I do agree with most of what Alan said, and Jenna. Also, I felt that the player in white is just looking just below horizontal, and playing red above. He's looking slightly up. You can see his eyes open, the wrinkles on the forehead, and I felt that he's ahead. He's slightly ahead of player in white. Playing red, we can see that he's on the move, while the player in white was static and just starting to prepare his stance with his right arm open, the leg slightly open, the right leg slightly open. He probably was still thinking that he could play the ball, but I feel that the player in red is on the go, and he will definitely play this one. When I crossed my lines, I took all that in consideration, and plus the eye lines, I felt that the ball was just a tad closer to the player in red.
Yeah, thank you. And I'll come round in the central and then drop down to my own and Hugh's. So Rennie, that means you next. Yours is the blue cross. You're a little bit more central. How did you reach your decision?
Yeah, very similar. I felt the player in white was looking slightly down, and the player in red was more sort of on his eye level. I agree with the guys. I feel like the player in red is the favourite. He's in front. He's obviously trying to get to the ball. I feel like the player in white, because he maybe has realised he's not going to get there first with his stance, is maybe starting to decelerate a little bit. To obviously then try and get himself in a position where he can try and react next and defend the play. But yeah, I think that the ball is ever so slightly closer to the player in red, and he's potentially going to run onto it, try and knock it down and keep running. But yeah, I just crossed the eye lines, and then that's where I came to. That felt most comfortable.
Yeah. Do you think it was a bouncing ball or a ball that had just been played in?
Yeah, I think it's a bouncing ball. Just by the way that the player in red looks like he's reacted to it, and I feel like it's potentially on its way up, and it might be that the player in red is going to try and meet it, maybe nod it down with his head, or as Jenna said, maybe try and chest it down into his path and keep running, by the looks of it.
Yeah, great, thank you. And just below yours, Rennie, is Andy's, a yellow cross there that's magnified. What did you see?
Thanks, Matt. Good morning, all. Just at the tail end of what Renee said there was the main focus of my decision. I do feel that the ball has bounced in rather than coming in directly left to right, sort of aerial. I feel it has bounced in from left to right. And as we always say, looking at a 2D picture, it's to me is coming in from a slight angle as we're looking at the picture. As has been said by all the judges, for me, the guy in red is favourite for him. He's getting his arm already across the guy in white. Again, his arm's looking out to the right, and the guy in red's looking out to the right. So I feel that the guy in white is almost he's quite passive and basically saying, like, you can go there type of thing to the right, you can have that. But I feel that the guy in red, the ball is bouncing him. He's going to control it, as has been said, whether he's going to nod it down and on or roll himself and bring it onto his chest to protect the ball from the guy in white. Going to their eye lines, for me, the main thing, the guy in red, I've just put it slightly below horizontal because I feel that he's focused deadly on the ball. There's no up or down in his eye line. The guy in red, in white, sorry, the ball is slightly away from him. So the angle that we're looking at, it looks like he's looking dead level with his eyesight, but again, because of the angle, he's looking slightly down. So that gives me the cross between the two players.
Okay, thank you very much. And just on the other side of this calculated average is yours, Peter, the purple cross. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, yes, I agree. It's a bouncing ball, but I actually think that the ball's bouncing in towards the white player. And then it's been alluded to that the player in red is going to come across and looks like he's going to be favoured for the ball. And I've used the eye lines. I think are pretty good in this picture, with the player in white looking down in front of him, and then I've got the player in red with his eyes looking. Take a look at the picture to the left, almost horizontal, but just slightly off the horizontal, and then I'll cross-reference the eye lines for my centre of the ball.
Yeah, thank you. I'll come to my own next, a little bit further to the left. Again, I thought it was a bouncing ball. I thought that the player in white was looking slightly down. I took a bit from his neck. It was sort of a bit furrowed there. So I just took his eye line and his head tilted slightly forward. And then again, the red player, I thought he was just looking just a little bit below horizontal. And I thought the bouncing ball, I think I agreed with you, Peter, that it was coming right to left, but the player in red looks like his favourite. He, as I think Rennie said earlier, he's reacting. He's on the move. The player in white's a bit passive, so he's sort of assuming the ball's going to come to him, and the red player for me was just going to come in front and sort of nick it away. I don't think he's necessarily that in control of it. He's just reacting to it, and that's how I reached my decision. And lastly, Hugh, you're a little bit further down. There's your light blue cross. What did you see?
Thanks, Matt. Yeah, obviously, seen it slightly differently to my colleagues. I agree, actually. I think it's bouncing. I just felt both players, I could see a decent amount of the eyelids, which for me then meant they were looking down. I think the player in red for me, certainly his left eye, but I think to me both eyes were looking down, but his left particularly I felt was focused down on the ball that's bounced up in front of him. Similarly, I agree. I think the player in red is the favourite. I actually think he's ahead of the player in white and closer to the ball as it bounces up. So for the player in white, for me, he's in the background, kind of anticipating what he's going to do next, what the next move is, and looking down at the ball. So yeah, similar scenario, but a different position for me of where it is.
Yeah, thank you very much. So we got quite a fair spread. We're all in agreement that the ball is bouncing. We're not all in agreement about whether the ball is bouncing towards the white player or to the red player, i.e. coming in from the right to the left, left to the right. We're also in agreement that the player in red is sort of reacting. I think, as I said, I'll reiterate it, that Rennie said the player in white is reacting towards the ball, which I think we all agree as well is in the foreground, player in red slightly further ahead. But we have got this quite a big split. And if I hover over the top of the magnifier, over the top of this calculated average, you see that there's quite a few of us outside of the magnifier. Obviously, Hughes is quite a lot further away than my own or Alain or Aries at the top. So as lead judge, I will remove Hughes. Obviously, because he's so far away, it does drop it quite a long way further up. And that means that the only one outside this calculated average now is my own. So if I then remove my own, it sort of nestles around the remaining 6 judges. Obviously, again, moves it slightly more central. I'm going to leave it for you as a panel to decide whether you want to remove mine. And I say that because personally, and looking at this as a group, as a panel decision, I think that this particular calculated average, personally for me, is better than with my own removed. I think it goes slightly too high for me. But again, I will leave it up to you. So this is a panel vote. I've removed Hugh. I'll leave you to the rest of you, including Hugh, to decide whether to remove my own and judge at this calculated average as shown here. So that's with my own left in, where we've got the calculated average ever so slightly lower, or without. So Jenna, I'll come to you first.
I would leave you in, just because I think it's quite a good average with yours in it. And I think if anything, it would be lower rather than higher, the average.
Yeah. Okay. Andy?
I would take yours out, Matt, as well as Hughes. I feel that yours twos are too low for my average.
Okay. Rennie?
Yeah, I would take you out as well, Matt. I just think that when you're removed, the calculated average falls nicely into the rest of the group, and it sort of circles round the average nicely. So yeah, I would remove you.
Yep. Alain?
Yeah, I would remove use also, Matt. I think without use, we've got a tighter cluster.
Cool. Peter?
Have you in, Matt? I just think it's a much like what you're saying, it's much better. Yeah, much better for me.
Yeah. Hugh?
Tricky because I personally think the ball's lower. Personally would prefer lower average, but I think what we've done previously is had a good cluster where the majority of judges are together and gone with that average. So for me, I would say remove it for the consistency of having most judges around the average.
Yep. And lastly, Ari?
Yes, I would remove as well. I feel it becomes a tighter cluster.
Okay. So if I redraw the lines, so we have player in white. And there, as you said, we hovered over and has said, as Hugh eloquently put, it's encompasses the majority of everybody's crosses. So Paul, after myself removing Hughes as lead judge, the panel have also decided to go with this calculated average with my own choice also removed. So we're going to judge at this calculated average with the remaining 6 choices taken into consideration.
Thank you. If you're all happy, then please click submit. Thank you, judges. The coordinates selected are X2254, Y1232. These coordinates will now be passed to the auditing company Assets to calculate the winner of the competition, and they will then inform BOTB. That concludes the judging process. Thank you.